Hi, this is Natalie with Unicorn Properties, and today I have my twin in EXP in our company.
Can you tell? Can you
Yes,
tell?
exactly.
Right?
I feel like we connected before the conference, Jason here, and we were talking the same language. And I was so excited to hear another person talk as passionate about international real estate as I am, because sometimes when I'm home back in Chicago, I feel like I'm alone. Nobody listens to me. They're like, no, I mean, we barely can cover Chicago, like to cover anything else. And coming here to Lisbon, it's like I was in a candy store with everybody who I want to hang out with. Like all my friends are here, and we just met in person now.
Yes.
You're coming all the way from Italy.
Yes. Yeah.
So tell us your experience and your journey with the company personally, and why you decided to move to Italy. Because you're from the US.
Right. So originally from the US, lived in Europe for the last 20 years. Jason P. Jordan. The whole thing you also said was speaking my language, right? So yo hablo español también. So, we kind of got that going too, right?
Let's say like, when was your point that you're like, I'm leaving the US, I'm going to Europe, and this is what I'm going to do? Or do you have a roadmap?
So, real estate came much later. So real estate came after I had really moved to Italy, right? And I decided that I wanted to get into real estate. And that whole journey could be an entire show in and of itself, right? But it was part of like joining XP Realty is when I decided that we were going to grow an organization of global agents, right? And so today we have an organization that spans 13 countries, right? So I've had the opportunity to learn how real estate is done in India, throughout multiple countries in Europe, through South America, the US, Canada, of course. I even understand how real estate is done in Asia. So even though that we don't have a country open, well, we do have Hong Kong open, but I've learned a lot for that time period. So.
When did you join EXP? What was the time?
January of 2021.
Okay.
So my father and I are business partners, and so he's kind of more of the silent partner, right? And he reminds me of that all the time. But we joined then because we understood the unique opportunity that EXP Realty provides, and coming from a network marketing background, right? We understood the model. And that's one thing I would say is that a lot of realtors don't truly understand, like the model. They have misconceptions of that. But I never really kind of thought that I would be working in kind of a production way. Now coaching my agents and building marketing and technology systems for them to sell more real estate. Like I didn't envision that in the beginning, but it's really cool.
I think we just stumble into like coaching agents because we want our agents to grow. And sometimes we just have to like reverse engineer to the benefits for them.
Exactly. I think you as you grow a business, whether any business, you're going to have challenges, right? As you're growing a business. And so then you try to find solutions to those challenges. And that's exactly what everything has come from, was there was some type of challenge or issue, and instead of complaining about it or wanting to quit or whatever, you just find a solution, right? And I think for us, like in India, for example, it was finding ways to get better commissions from the big developers that the agents, or they call them brokers there, couldn't get on their own. So simply by becoming part of EXP Realty, they could add an extra 0.5% or multiple percents by just being part of EXP Realty.
That's amazing.
Right? So that it's a complete change of the game.
And I like the way you pitch that, because it's not about, I feel like when I work with local agents, they think they're limited to their area. And we come in and we're like, no, you're our rock star. You're our, ambassador here. We'll make sure that you're successful. How do you think your influence has actually, influenced your realtors in different countries? Because I think they feel you, they feel your energy, and they're like, I can do this. They feel you're the coach. Like, like I feel like I see you like an NFL coach, like, let's go guys, it's screaming, and then you're like, because we can do it.
Well, I'm really glad you asked that question, because just recently I've been doing an AI video mastermind with several of my top agents in India.
Okay.
And so it's been really cool to see them some of them step out of their shells to kind of do it. And honestly, it was because of the work that like you do and Connor and Mike, and I see like how you guys do that. And I was like, okay, so this is something that I'm going to push my team to do. And this is how we have a collaboration in EXP instead of competition, right?
Yeah.
And so I've been doing this masterclass with them, and watching them evolve has been so cool, right?
I feel like you're the father of your organization. Like you're just give birth to this organization, because there's always like that person that is like, I'm gonna do this, leverage everything that I've learned from other reporting up or uplines. But there's always like that game changer person in the group that is just like, you know, spreads like fire.
Well, I'm definitely not going to take all the credit for that. So we approached the entry into EXP Realty very differently probably than a lot of other people because of our backgrounds. My partners and I are backgrounds in network marketing, and then we also had backgrounds in real estate. So it was a perfect fit.
Yes.
Right? Absolutely. So we entered with 5 main founders. Okay. And then the idea was basically we were splitting up the world. And then we had Marty, who's the original founder, a longtime friend of mine, is the chairman of the leadership council, right, and of the organization. And then I'm the president and CEO. And then we have co-founders that have different roles. And then we have agents of ours in certain countries that are kind of like country captain for our team. Like you said, kind of like a football team,
it's like an ambassador.
Right? And then those people help us grow the brand there. They help create content, keep people motivated and plugged into the EXP ecosystem. And so we've had some success in some markets at that, better than others. And so you learn with those things.
Yeah.
Right? So I definitely can't say that I'm the father, right? But I could say that
you're the flame, like the visible flame, because there's the invisible partners, right? Your father.
Right. So, well, when you look at our logo, right, we have the torch and the flame, the legendary national team lit. I use that symbolism all the time, right? That you need to carry the torch, and sometimes you need to get it this far so the next person can take it, like the Olympic torch. And I really enjoy this role. It's not easy, right? But I really enjoy it. And I've really had to push myself into the next level of it. So when we started, I kind of got things going here. And then it seemed like I kind of was plateauing for a while. And I needed to find something to get me to the next level. And sometimes it's meeting somebody like you that will inspire you to do that. Because you'll see what they're doing, and then you'll be like, okay, they're doing that, I'm going to do that too, but we don't have to do it alone.
Absolutely. And I think that's the beauty of EXP as a community. Like we're from different family trees, we call it family tree, right?
Yeah, we even have a group in workplace called EXP Family Tree, and one of the founders is Elizabeth Bradley, right?
Yeah.
So she was our keynote speaker here.
That's right. And I feel like that we don't have, like there's some other franchises that it's like a competition and you cannot go directly to the agents to approach and resell their listings. In our case, it's more like we're going to the same direction with the same mission. We want to spread, to different countries. We can do it, we know now how. But not everything is given to you. EXP, I feel like, is a business in a box, right? Like they give you all the tools to operate your business right away, but they're growing too. So they accept suggestions as we go. But when I don't see an EXP, we create it. So I don't know if it happens to you and your team that some agents, not only from our company but other companies, are like, oh, the company didn't give me this, so I'm not able to do that. For us, it's more like, oh, the company we don't have time to create it. We might have to come up with a solution.
Yeah, we created it ourselves.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad you brought that up because. As we were preparing and coming here, Eduardo Hernandez from my team, who's from Mexico, right? And of course, Natalie, I know that you're very big into Mexican real estate and growing that. And you have a lot of great content on your channel. And so I actually shared it with Eduardo. And I said, we're going to have to create some things like that as assets. And then actually we got here and I met you. And I'm like, no, we're going to create something together.
Yeah, repurpose it. Use
it. Because we create assets that will help us sell real estate together that's evergreen.
Yeah.
Right. And since Eduardo is a real estate attorney, right, it adds more value to anything we create together.
Yeah. 100%.
Right. And then those assets can actually even be used beyond just us. Right. So if you have a development in the Mayan Riviera and we have one on the West Coast or something, this is an asset about how to buy in Mexico as a foreigner and actually had the legal framework in there too, like from Eduardo, then that's something that not only you can use, Eduardo can use, but actually the greater ESP family can use that.
Yeah, I believe that when it comes to international real estate, even AI cannot pick up on it because it's not existing. And if it's existing, it's in a different language.
Yeah.
So does it happen to you that I love AI and you use it in English, but when I search our market, there is nothing. So we're the creators of this content for AI to pick up on it and then other people to use it. So I feel like a big responsibility on our shoulders that if we don't do it, who's going to do it? And I love doing content because for me, it's so much fun, educational. I talk and interview so many people just as a one-on-one conversation, coffee, just to learn. But does it happen to you that you're like, oh my God, maybe I'm creating the content that is not there yet for the country, especially in Asia? There is not much out there, and because there's no market that goes there, the content is not created because there's no demand for it. But if you create it, maybe you create the demand.
So, I mean, the content is there in Asia, it's just not in English, right? So one of the biggest influencers in real estate in Asia is a friend of mine, Carrie Law, who's a former CEO of Dubai, took them to the initial public offering.
Oh.
So she always reminds me, right, that there is content there, it's just not in English, right? And because so much of the world speaks Chinese, and it speaks other Asian languages, right? So there's these huge markets, but I think that there's a humongous opportunity there. And back to your AI point, I think the one thing you've got to remember with especially things like ChatGPT is the better of the stuff we put in, the better we get out, right? So Phil Stringer, who spoke in Cabo, he talked about AI and he gave away a PDF with some great prompts, right? And so what he did is he helped me ideate better on my prompts. And so that started to produce some great content back to me, right?
That's awesome. I love that because you can just repurpose it. Because some prompts are like this long, like
yes,
a whole part. I feel like an essay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't think about that, but I just copy and paste and adjust my markets, and I get all these detailed information that I didn't think I could get because I didn't ask the question.
Right, and the other ones that I learned was like, so giving it a prompt that then asks me questions that then I answer. And then I give it back to it, right? And so now I'm using AI in such a unique way that no matter what it spits back out, no one else will ever have the same, right? Unless they have a copy of my questions, right?
True.
Because there's no way to make that the same. So there are ways to make AI content very unique. And I think that is what we're on the forefront of. That's what I'm doing, and I'm sure you are too. That's what I've been teaching my agents in India is I'm beta testing this mastermind concept. And then I've been kind of pulling some other agents in and getting them started on the side. But I really wanted to go through and take a group through and ideate it and put it into a format of a course, right? That then every agent could walk through. And so if I can give some tips, so Fathom is like one of the greatest AI assets. So if you don't use Fathom, so check that out, FATHOM. It's free. So every time you do a Zoom, it'll actually record the screen. It will give you an audio recording, and then it'll actually transcribe it. It'll actually give you the key summaries, everything.
Wow.
So we could take this
I'm not
actual.
using it yet.
So
I was using Otter.
Right, so this is way better.
This is like your screen two.
Yeah, screen two, and then you can. It gives it to you instantly when you're done.
Wow.
Okay, you don't have to wait for the Zoom to render it. Right, it instantly gives it to you, and then you can click a button, and it shares it with the person that you were there on the call with, and it gives you a link. So if you want to go back and get it. Now, so what I do is every week, and I'm giving away a little bit of my hacks here. Is that okay?
No, please.
So is that I review all those key elements that we talked on that call before. And then on the next call, then I go, okay, this is what we reviewed last week. And then I'm already know what I've got to create because I just go back and review and I go, okay, this is the next step in that process. And so that's what we've been doing week in, week out. I mean, really, these agents are great because I do marathon calls. So we'll get on and we'll go for an hour or two. And we'll just really dive into something, and they're really good.
It's a hackathon, but with
Yeah, because there's so much to learn.
Yes.
And I'm doing individual coaching in between. So I would let's say I was doing it with you, right? So then I would take you, and we would actually take the prompt, go into your ChatGPT, so I can watch you do it, coach you through it, right? And now typically what we would do is I would have those questions ahead of time because the prompt's the same.
Yeah.
So then I'd have you fill those out. So then when we're together live, then you would put the prompt in your ChatGPT. You would put then it would spit out the questions, and then you would respond with your answers you just did ahead of time, right? So now we're already that one step ahead. And then now I can take you and I can build an agent attraction campaign. I can build a buyer persona. Then I can build these multiple chats, right? Where then I can work within a particular chat depending upon the vertical that it is, right? And that is how I like to do things, because sometimes I'm like Glenn and Leo say, they like to be a scientist.
Yeah, that means experiment.
I want to experiment on the fly sometimes, and I want to see, and that's why it's beta.
Yeah.
Right? And then I want to see their reaction. I want to see, are they going to keep their camera on the whole time if we're on that long? Right? It's really interesting to watch.
I like that because you're like, you put so much time within your agents. Yeah, like you just give so much. Have you, in other brokerages, I don't think that they even get this much, compared to everything. At least I try to do the same for my agents, but when you have a process in place, it helps so much incorporate it. And just that giving, like I think I saw you on stage and you were sharing, I think giving is your secret, because it's not you don't expect anything back, but it's more like you want to see them grow, and you're doing this in a systematic way to make sure you can multiply yourself in a way, right? It's like you're probably gonna do a bot about you so they can talk to you when you're not available or something like that.
Actually, I have
no,
one
you
of
already
those.
did.
Actually, no, a partner of mine created that bot for me. So I have a whole backend system to our sites. All the sites are kind of being updated, but he already built a GPT of me. Okay, so based upon books that I've written and things like that. Yeah. So the one thing I would say is, going back to what you just mentioned about giving, that this was a paradigm shift that I had. I bought a marketing course from he's still a mentor to me, Mike Koenigs. And he was the one that really helped me understand video marketing, the beginning of that, publishing books. I was a big part of his community. And I am a giver just naturally, but it was in that community when I was learning things about writing my initial bestseller, Personal on Promotion.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You have 3.
Yes, 3 number one international bestsellers. And I was learning so much about the process that I felt was missing in the training. So then I would do mini trainings in the group and give it away for free, right? Not wanting anything in return. And what I found was the more that I gave without wanting anything in return, the more I received, right? And now here, years later, I have a quote that I try to live by, and that is that you must first provide value before you can become valuable, right? So that's a quote that is my quote that I try to live by. And so,
quote you.
Okay, please do.
On Instagram.
Please do. So when I was preparing for the panel here, right, I was inspired by one of your mentors, Mike Shrard, and I talked about that on stage today. I watched his presentation he did, and Mike and I, we had a good talk this year, and we met for the first time last year. But I follow him, and he inspires me, and I really like how he talks about it's collaboration, not competition. And he even tells everybody R&D means rip off and duplicate. Jay Kinder says that too, right? I mean, because it's
not rocket science. You don't have to create everything from scratch.
Not only that, but just because maybe if I see Mike do something and I want to do something like it, even if I tried, I can't copy it like Mike, right?
Your own way, your personality,
exactly,
of your approach in your market.
Exactly, right? And so I was looking at the complexity of what we were discussing today, which was securing new development opportunities. How do you pitch developers, specifically the final decision maker, to give you, really good terms, whether that be high commissions or maybe exclusivity, right? Which is not easy.
A lot of our agents internationally struggle with that, because since there are no MLS systems in place in some countries, most countries besides the US and Canada, it's hard for them to be like, I want to have exclusivity of this so I can focus my energy on this and sell more of it and do a service to the developer instead of being just used like one more agent out there,
Yeah.
I mean, not used, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, we do a lot of work in the developing world, right? So that's where you have to have a systematic process to gain new development agreements, right? And that was a challenge that was existing in not just our organization, but in the company, right? And so I worked with a few of my agents to create what we shared today. And we've used it first in Spain, where we were able to lock up 1.5 billion euro of unit through agreements. Okay, not exclusive, but we showed these to developers, and we were able to get all these agreements. Right?
We're doing the same in Mexico.
Right, and then I did something similar in Brazil. I did something similar in India, and now Mexico. Right, so. It's being able to have a systematic process that works every time.
It's like a playbook.
Exactly.
And then you use duplicate.
Right? Or a blueprint, right?
Yes.
And I really look more like this as a blueprint. So as we were preparing for today's discussion, I was thinking last week about Mike's talk. And his talk was, I only have 15 minutes to teach you everything I know about video marketing, which is laughable, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, the amount of thousands of hours on YouTube that Mike teaches video marketing, right? And his course, which I have, you know, because what do? You invest from the best, right? And so that's what I do. I have Ryan Serhant course, I have Mike's course, I have Grant Wise course, things like that, right? And so he said, what Mike said on stage in Bill 23, he said that I'm going to take a master class I created for you on video marketing, and I'm going to post it at the top, pinned at the top of my feed for the next week. And I was like, that's brilliant, right?
Yeah.
It was really brilliant. And I said, that's a great way to get back to the community. And so what I did is I went back to our recordings of all of our team calls that we do. And I found the one where we introduced Eduardo's project in Puerto Vallarta to the team. And then I found the one where we actually showed the pitch deck for the very first time, the final pitch deck, to the team. And then I literally left that Zoom call, and then I shared the pitch deck with Michael Valdez and all of the brokers for all the countries, right? And I was able to take those two, I edited them down, right? And then I put them together into a master class, right?
That's awesome. I like that you just record it, put it out there, and repurpose it.
Yeah, and so I just created a bumper on the front, and then I get a little bonus by showing a tutorial on something Leo launched here today, but I've known about it for a couple weeks, and that is the global agent referral portal, right? That you can now go in and search for any agent in the entire company worldwide. You can search by where they're located, what the certifications are, the languages they speak, specialties, all of that stuff. And I created a tutorial for that. And then I just put it all together, had my team package it all up. And I gave the final go-ahead last night. And then it went up and it went live last night.
Right away, yeah.
Yep, went live last night. And so then I woke up this morning and I wasn't sure if the channel would be up on the wall or anything like that. So then you did an awesome job of creating a WhatsApp group. I created the workplace
like to connect
group.
With people after, like you want to have that connection, right? Like we meet so many people in the conferences, and then you forget to follow up. By having this group, at least you can communicate and keep the conversation going.
Yeah, and then you can even say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I don't remember that we met. But I remember that you did this, but I can't remember your name." Right?
The group and find them.
And find them, right? So I think that was a way I wanted to give back to the group.
Oh, thanks for doing that, because I helped start the conversation. And I feel like we wouldn't take those risks, tiny risks, you know, like let's nobody, I mean, the group didn't exist. You just created it. You're like, I'm just gonna do it. And I like that from you. You know, you're a driver, a doer, tester. And I feel like that's why I identify so much with you, because I mean, we've been working like in different parts of the world, doing the same thing.
I literally didn't know that you even existed until a few weeks ago. Me too. Right? And it's so crazy.
Wait a minute, we're doing the same thing.
There's no possible, I was like, there's no way that I don't know who she is, right?
Yeah, I know. We've been making noise in our own little corners.
Yeah.
And like I feel like we're the kids. Like, you don't cry, you know, nobody hears you. We're like, we need this. I'm gonna create it.
Yeah. So I'm so glad that we met here today, or this week here in Portugal. I think that there are so many collaborative things that we will do, right? And I think creating assets that can be used by each other, and assets that can maybe be purposed and used by everybody. I look at Brent Gove, what he did with the Model Explain, and how that's an asset that everybody uses, right? So I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, no, this is just the beginning. We're just getting started. This interview can last 7 hours, like I said, because
we probably talked that much.
because we can have so many similarities, and this again, I think it comes back to the mission. We're going the same direction. When we have this goodwill for our agents, and then we're in a way leaders pushing to create things that don't exist probably. Because people think maybe in the US, they think that I'm crazy because I left the US to go to Mexico. And usually they tell me, isn't it the opposite, people trying to go to the US? And I'm like, well, it's 2024. I think the migration patterns are changing. Now you're in Italy and you're in 13 different countries with your downline. So now the world is just, it feels so big, but it's so small at the same time. And everything is connected. With this new trend of working remotely, which thank God we can, we can actually live in Italy in the middle of a winery and still work from there. So I think this is just the beginning of international real estate. I'm glad we're ahead about 3 years because we started the intention of starting this with an EXP was just straight going international. Some agents start as local agents and then they think, oh, we have international. They realize later on in life that they can do it. But at least having this hopefully inspiration from people like us that were I feel like butterflies. We just go from flower to flower, whichever countries, and you spread to create. So I love that. And I'm so glad that we're in the same synchronicity, energy-wise, to keep pushing forward. And I think now that we're together, we can make more noise about things we need
Let's go.
as an organization.
Let's go. Right. So
please share your channels. Where can
okay,
people find
so
you?
just jasonpjordan.global, right, across everything. So
It's
that's
a P. It's a P.
yeah. Don't forget the P, right? Kind of a huge promoter, right? And you will hear my agents walking me around and other people, and I introduce them and I promote them, right? And so, of course, that's my middle name, but I say
promoter,
right? Promoter. No, I mean I have a middle name, but I always tell people remember the P.
Yeah.
And it's important as you're building your personal brand to do the research to see what's out there. So if you go Jason Jordan into YouTube, there's a professional wrestler, right? And although I think I'm pretty tall and a big guy, but I'm not. You like
that's
that,
not
right?
your market.
Yeah. So when I started my book publishing and doing a lot of marketing, that's when I came up with that, and then I wrote the whole book around that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So
well, you're doing a great job. Thanks for the time today, and and I'm excited to see what we come up with. And this is just the beginning.
All right, sounds great. Thanks,
See you
Natalie.
guys around.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.